Namaste. Welcome to Pavitra. Pavitra enables purification of the heart, mind, body, and soul. Through conversations, through prayer, through meditation, through chanting, through art, in many other ways. We're living in a very fast world. Fast computers, travel, business. And in this fast-paced world, we're losing ourselves. We're losing our peace. We're losing our character. We're losing our relationship. Now, how do we maintain the state of our heart in the state-of-the-art world is what we'll be discussing today. And we are very fortunate to have His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, who will take us through this understanding of how we can maintain our emotional balance and consciousness in this volatile world. Chaitanya Charan Prabhu is an author, he's a speaker, and he's a mentor. He has authored 25 books on mindfulness and purposeful living. He has written more than 3,500 articles on the Bhagavad Gita, which is an inspiration to many people across the globe. I was just doing some math. If I had to read one article per day, it would take me 10 years. And if I had to read 2 books a day, 2 books a year, it would take 10 more years. So imagine if it takes 20 years to read what he has written, how many years he must have spent reading and writing all this work. He speaks at TED, he speaks at UNESCO, he speaks at Harvard, he speaks at Stanford, he speaks at Google, he speaks at Microsoft. He travels across the world. He gives 400 talks across 100 cities and 4 continents. That's more than 1 talk a day. So we are very fortunate to have him with us again on Pavitra. So before I hand it over to him, just a small note, we would be having a Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions, please post them in the chat box and we will try our best to take it up. Thank you very much, and Prabhuji, all yours.
Thank you. So, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to be with all of you today. And thank you all the participants also for joining. So I would like to start with one thought, and I would like to get some of your feedback on that thought, and then we will take this discussion forward. So the thought is, technology has brought countries closer, yet people's hearts have gone further. Technology has decreased the distance between countries, yet the distance between hearts has increased. So when you hear this, does it trigger any thoughts within you? The distance between countries has decreased, but the distance between hearts has increased. So basically, we see people may live in cities where there are thousands of people, even millions sometimes, crowded together. And yet, there is existential loneliness, not just circumstantial loneliness. Circumstantial loneliness is where, okay, we are far away from our loved ones. But existential loneliness means just feel that my existence is all alone. So, state of the art in our title today is from state of the art to state of the heart. So I'll be sharing a PowerPoint with you here, and we will discuss based on this. So it's from state of the art to state of the heart. And I'll be talking 3 broad topics: how state of the art affects us, how state of the heart affects us, and how we can have holistic progress, both the state of the art and the heart. So state of the art generally refers to technology. Now somebody's got a state of the art phone, somebody's got a state of the art missiles technology, whatever. So now there's a social critic who has defined technology. Eric Fromm says that technology is the art of arranging reality so that we don't have to experience it. I repeat this. Technology is the art of arranging reality so that we don't have to experience reality. Now, what exactly does this mean? You consider this. So technology acts like a bubble around us or a buffer around us. So the person is inside the buffer and the rest of reality is outside it. So how does technology buffer us from reality? Say at a simple level, I can say that if that weather is very hot, air conditioning buffers us from the heat. If it's dark, then electricity buffers us from the darkness. Or if there's water shortage and if there's a dam near a city, then the dam and the irrigation system buffers us from the reality of water scarcity. So now this buffering us from reality is what technology essentially does. We think of anything that any technological advancement, it is ultimately doing this purpose. And of course, we could go deeper into this. We have certain, if say weapons are developed using technology. So the idea is that we human beings are not physically extraordinarily powerful in nature. We don't have the size of elephants or rhinos. We don't have the speed of leopards. We don't have the sharp teeth of lions. So what do we have? Technologies buffers us from the reality that we are weak and vulnerable by providing us weapons. Now, buffering itself is not a bad thing. If it's hot and we have air conditioning, that's good. But the challenge is, what are we buffering ourselves from reality for? So suppose we have to do some very important work, we have an exam. And if it's too hot, then studying might be difficult. But if we can have a reasonably comfortable atmosphere, then we can focus on the studies. If you're doing some important work, we can do that work better. So buffering is itself fine. But if we don't have a higher purpose for that buffering, then we start seeking pleasure in the buffering itself. If we don't have something to do, okay, now the reality around me can sometimes be quite uncomfortable and I don't want the discomfort. Okay, but I shield myself from the discomfort. What do I do after that? If we don't have any positive purpose, any higher purpose, then we need pleasure somewhere. Then we start seeking pleasure in the buffering itself. Say, this room is so comfortable. I just want to sit and relax in this room. My chair is so comfortable. The air conditioning is so nice. I'll just sit and relax. Now, when this happens, the problem, the limitation with this is that then the pleasure from the buffering is limited. So then we start trying to improve the quality of the buffering itself. So consider, for example, entertainment. Now, entertainment buffers us from boredom. As I said earlier, there's nothing wrong with buffering, and similarly, there's nothing intrinsically wrong with entertainment. Throughout human history, people were entertaining themselves. And there were dramas, there were paintings, there were dances, whatever ways people would entertain themselves. Skits, plays, whatever you want to call it. But if we consider the entertainment today, it's radically different. In what sense? If, say, 1,000 years down the line, in 3000 AD, if some archaeologists wanted to know what was the defining feature of the 20th century or the 21st century, they might look for some artifacts, and we could argue that movies might be the most defining artifact of the 21st century or the 20th century also. Why movies? Because millions of dollars are spent on it. Some movies, say for example, the Avenger movie that happened recent, some few months ago, now its budget was more than that of several African countries. So entertainment has always been a part of human society, but currently entertainment is, there's such a mania associated with it. So this is unprecedented. This is simply unprecedented. And now for many people, it is, entertainment is not a break from life, rather life is a break from entertainment. That means they think entertainment is the real thing. I want to watch this, I want to play this, I want to do this, and then, okay, I have to do some work in my life also. So what happens is, without a higher purpose, then entertainment is what we start seeking. And then so much money is spent on entertainment. Astronomical amount. Where is that money coming from? According to some estimates, the amount of money that is spent on IPL, that money could be used to feed all the hungry people of the country. So the point here is, where is this money coming from? It is coming from us, people like us. And why are people paying so much money? Because it's serving a felt need. The felt need for relief from boredom, the felt need for entertainment. So if we consider technology, technology has led to development of many things. And in its specifics, technological advancements are dazzling. I did my engineering, and many of my close friends are working in some of the top research labs in MIT, Harvard, Princeton, Google, other places. So I appreciate the creativity and the dedication required for developing technology. This talk is not a critique of technology. It is an analysis of what is its effect on society. What are we using it for? When I did my electronics engineering, I was fascinated by science since my childhood. I used to read biographies of scientists. And then I studied electronics and telecommunications. And my fourth year, in one of my books, I read that the most extensive application of electronics and electronics engineering is for, or it was at that time, about more than 20 years ago, 25 years ago roughly, it was in developing television. And when I read that, I felt almost betrayed. I said, am I spending the best years of my life? Am I spending the best brain resources that I have to just make better idiot boxes that people can just sit and watch and become idiots? So I felt that there should be some better use. Of course, technology has relieved people of immense suffering in various ways, and it's not to deny that. But what is the primary purpose of people's life, or what is the primary purpose for which people are using technology? So if we consider the internet, it's an ocean of information, and so much useful knowledge can come out through the internet. But what is it that people are mostly using it for? It's mostly for entertainment. So entertainment buffers us from boredom. So however, entertainment, what it provides us is enjoyment. It doesn't provide fulfillment. How do we differentiate between the two? Generally, when something gives us fulfillment, we feel that I've done something worthwhile. This was challenging. This was wonderful. I achieved something. How many people will say after watching a movie, I achieved something? And if the movie was very terrible and somehow we survived the movie, I'd say it is something fulfilling. But generally, it doesn't bring any deep sense of fulfillment to us. So for us, technology is like a painkiller. It covers the pain. It doesn't cure the pain. the when somebody is sick, sometimes painkiller is essential because the pain is so great that life is unbearable. And sometimes, if somebody has got some traumatic or severe trauma or severe injury, then the body itself, it becomes frozen. And sometimes pain medication needs to be given so that the body relaxes, and then a curative medication can work. So pain medication itself is sometimes a part of the treatment, but the pain medication is itself not the treatment. So technology is a resource that we can use for doing something meaningful in life. But technology itself is, is itself not going to provide us something meaningful to do. So state of the art, no matter how much of the best latest phone we might get, the latest car we might get, the latest laptop we might get, that's all that good. That's good in its own way. But that is not going to give us a purpose for our life. So the titillation and the stimulation that comes from technology, it covers the pain. How does it cover? Like earlier I said, there's a buffer. It buffers us from reality. Just like painkillers, they don't cure the pain, they just cover the pain. It's the same way. Now, as I said, when there is no higher purpose, then getting state of the art technology becomes the purpose in itself. That's what we start seeking more and more and more. So instead of it being a means to a higher end, that itself becomes an end. So for example, now whenever a new version of a phone is released, there's a mania. I want to buy it, I want to buy it. But strangely enough, surveys show that 90% of people who buy the latest version of a phone, they don't use 90% of the new features. So, okay, then what are you using why do you want the phone for? If you're not using the new features, oh, it's just the glamour, the prestige. So technology has enormous utility, but when it is not focusing, when we don't focus so much on utility, then technology itself becomes a lifestyle product, and then it becomes an end in itself. And then what happens? Generally, if somebody is only taking painkillers, but they're not taking any curative medicine, then as they keep moving forward, they'll need more and more painkillers because the disease is underlying there and the disease will keep growing, worsening. And we see this in the form of entertainment. Various ways, the dosage of the painkillers, we are increasing it intensely. So if we consider Indian history, we consider sports. Earlier there are test matches, then there are one-day matches, then there's T20, then we have IPL. So what has happened? It's more and more passionate entertainment. Again, I'm not critiquing entertainment here. I'm critiquing what our infatuation with entertainment means. That is where we are seeking the greatest meaning, the greatest thrill, the greatest fulfillment of our life. And we won't get it there. So broadly speaking, as Indians, we have two main painkillers. Both are fueled by technology in their own way, cricket and Bollywood. And we could say IPL represents the marriage of cricket and Bollywood. So is this really progress? Getting better and better painkillers, all that it does is only increases the demand for even better painkillers. And in this way, when pursuing better and better technology just to buffer us from reality becomes the purpose of life, then that is a terrible misdirection. Again, I'm not saying that people are not using technology for constructive purposes. Many are. But that is not the primary use of technology in today's world. It is primarily used to buffer us from reality. So till now I talked about state of the art. So state of the art technology, if it helps us to do something constructive, that's great. But if we use it to hide from reality and to increase and to lose ourselves in an illusory bubble, then that's undesirable. So now when we talk about the state of the heart, what do we mean by it? Basically, our heart longs for two things. We need meaning and purpose. What am I living for? Of course, we could say the heart longs for love, but love permeates meaning and purpose. As I'll explain, we humans, meaning means what is all this about? And purpose means what is my place in it? What am I meant to do in this? What is my place and my role in it? So now, if you see associated with technology, there is also increased materialistic worldview. Materialism holds that matter is all that matters, that we are essentially material beings, and getting more and more material pleasures is life's purpose. However, this soon reduces life to meaninglessness. Why meaninglessness? If we are just material creatures, then just one blow or one bug can end our lives. And then what is the point of it all? Or did we just exist? We consider our life to be meaningful when we have to make decisions. Should I choose this career or that career? Should I stay at this place or that place? Should I marry this person or that person? No, we consider these decisions seriously because we intrinsically feel our life has meaning. But unfortunately, with a materialistic worldview, life itself is stripped of all meaning. So technology itself, it is, we could say, just functional. But associated with technology, there is the dream, the promise, the fantasy of improved conditions. In fact, technology promises us paradise on the earth. I repeat this. I said earlier the technology buffers us from reality. So the reality of the world is that life is tough. Life is tough, and there are so many distresses in life. And even when there are no distresses, there are so many perplexities. And if these perplexities are not resolved carefully, then they give way to adversities. So life is tough. And technology promises us that through technology, we can create a high-tech paradise in the world. So then, if this world itself can become a paradise, then why do I need to seek any higher meaning in my life? And that's how technology fosters materialism. And then when there is materialism, then there is no meaning in life. Now, what happens is, if there is nothing really worth living for, if we don't have anything to fight for, we will fight for anything. By fight for means if we don't have really anything worth living for, anything that we are ready to not necessarily physically fight against someone, but just use our resources for something worthwhile and take up challenges for that. If we don't have anything to fight for, it's not that we'll stop fighting. Any small cause will be made big and we'll start fighting for that cause. Often these are called as first world problems. Third world problems are problems of poverty, lack of electricity, lack of sanitation, and stuff like that. First world problems are so many people live with a grievance culture, with victimhood. Now, of course, we all have had our challenges, and some of us may have been victimized. But to let that become our defining identity, that is very unfortunate. We could say that we human beings have a few basic needs. What are those basic needs? We could say there is air, water, heat, food, clothing, shelter. These are 7. And then there is the 8th need. The 8th need is something to complain about. Something to complain about. oh, this person is like this, oh, that is like that. And interestingly, while we are struggling for the first few things, then our energy is caught in getting those things, basic needs, food, clothing, shelter, and all that. And but once those are got, then what happens? Unless we have some higher meaning, our whole life energy gets caught in complaining. Oh, this person spoke like this about to me. This person did that to me 10 years ago. How dare they have done like that? So if we don't have anything to fight for, we will fight for anything. Say small things can become big provocations, small disturbances or small misbehavior of someone can become a cause of outrage for us. And then conversely, even if you're not really fighting, what happens? Those who are committed to nothing can be distracted by anything. And so many people spend hours and days and weeks, even months. They calculated the total time spent on simply mindless entertainment, on say playing video games, on surfing the net. So what has happened? Life has become stripped of meaning. And that is a great crisis. Then our heart grows empty. Our bank accounts may be full, our bellies may be full, but our hearts are empty. Why is that happening? Because a materialistic worldview leaves nothing worth living, nothing worth fighting for. What do I fight for? Or what do I live for? Is there anything worth living for? I exist and I die. There is no higher noble purpose to life. Then the only purpose is to make my life more and more comfortable. So comfortable means just create a better bubble, a better and better buffer to cut myself from reality. So now, where do we get meaning and how do we get purpose? So the heart finds the greatest meaning in love and the greatest purpose in responsibility. What do we mean by this? If we have something or someone to love, often now I'm not using love necessarily here in a romantic sense. The romantic love is often just infatuation, and there is love which is an infatuation, and there is love which is dedication, love which is offering of oneself to another person in a consistent way. So often when people talk about falling in love, yes, it's possible that sometimes there is a hormonal attraction between two people. There might be some attraction, but after that, once that attraction subsides, then there's a question of real commitment and how long the relationship will survive. So here we are talking about love not as infatuation, but love as a giving of oneself. When we have something meaningful, something to love in our lives, then that brings meaning. And see, meaning means what is all this about, and what am I meant to do about it? I may say I have something to love, but what is my role in it? I take some responsibility in it. So with respect to the object we love, we take up some responsibility. And this is what brings great fulfillment. Now currently, say India is under some threat of possible escalation of conflict with China. So throughout history, whenever say a country has been threatened, then patriotic citizens, patriotic soldiers are often ready to sacrifice for the cause of the nation. So what is happening over there? Okay, the nation is something which I love, and then I take responsibility. I'm ready to sacrifice something for that. So there's one famous American patriot. He said that my only regret in life is that I have only one life to offer to America. That's a noble sentiment. Now, of course, he had no idea about reincarnation. So he thought, I have only one life. I have only one life to offer to America. So if we look at the people who truly inspire us, they are the people who have taken up some responsibility, they have some purpose in their lives. So this, our heart finds fulfillment through meaning and purpose. Now there can be various different levels of meaning and purpose. For somebody, their purpose might be, I want to take care of my family. For somebody, their purpose might be that I want to serve my country. So there can be hierarchy, there can be various kinds of purposes that we may have. And it's always better to have some purpose than no purpose. However, apart from whatever purpose we decide for our life, or so society decides for our life, beyond that, does life itself have an innate purpose? Does our existence itself have any foundational purpose? The purposes that we have presently, they will bring some sort of direction and some sort of fulfillment in our lives, and that's good. But is there any enduring purpose to life? That is where spirituality comes in. The spirituality helps us understand that our existence extends beyond our body, beyond our biology, and even beyond our psychology, beyond our body, beyond our mind. We are at our core spiritual beings. The soul, which is who we are, the soul is eternal. And the soul longs to love the whole. The soul is a part of the whole. That whole is known by different names in different traditions. In the Bhakti tradition from India, that whole is known by the name Krishna, the all-attractive supreme, Sarva Akarshati iti Krishna. So when we consider that the meaning is found in love, so the soul is meant to love the eternal whole. The soul is eternal, the divine is eternal, and the relationship with the soul and the supreme divinity is also eternal. And now what responsibility can we take up? The responsibility is to serve, to contribute according to our abilities, our interests. And when we do this, in every activity that we do, say for example, if we work, now we expect we accept some salary from it, and that's natural. However, the most fulfilling work is not the work that gives us the biggest salary. The most fulfilling work is that by which we sense that our work is making a difference in someone's life, that our work is contributing to someone's welfare, is contributing to making the world a better place. So when spirituality tells us that we all are parts of God, we are meant to love God, and then we are meant to act as his instruments for serving and contributing. So this purpose is sublime, and it is sublimely empowering, because we understand that whatever we are doing, it is not that I do it today and say tomorrow I die, it's lost. No, the soul's evolution towards eternity continues beyond this life. And even if we lose some material resources, still this evolution can continue. So generally what happens? There's a default misdirection, that just as gravity pulls objects down, our worldly desires pull our heart down to self-centeredness. So self-centeredness means what is the meaning of my life? I want to enjoy myself. I want to take care of, as they say, I want to look out for number one. And who is number one? I am number one for me. So when we are self-centered, we might be comfortable, we might be safe, but we won't be fulfilled. Fulfillment comes when our consciousness flows outward in a mood of service, not inward in a mood for our own protection and gratification. So spirituality, as I said, is meant to cure our heart of self-centeredness and energize it with service attitude. So state of the heart is what we need to consider. And spirituality cures our heart. So by default, our heart will go towards self-centeredness, but spiritual growth helps our consciousness to expand. And as our consciousness expands, it embraces more and more of reality, more and more people, more and more things. And thus, energy flows from us with service attitude. When this happens, then in that service, in that contribution, in that outward flow of our consciousness in a mood of service, we will find the deepest fulfillment. In fact, the state of the heart is so important that with a meaningful purpose, even the worst of pains become bearable. And without a meaningful purpose, even the best of pleasures seem unfulfilling. What do we mean by this? See, often we think that the purpose of life is pleasure. Well, it's yes and no. If pleasure is all that we wanted, then how many of us enjoy, say, movies? Or sorry, how many enjoy comedies? Some of us may enjoy movies, some of us may not. But comedy and humor, almost everyone enjoys that. So suppose somebody told us from tomorrow onward, you have no financial obligations, no family responsibilities. Just sit in front of a TV and for the rest of your life, watch comedies. Now, would we enjoy that? Maybe for some time, half an hour, a few hours. But after that, we would want to do something. We want to dig our teeth in something. We want to have something tangible to do. So we don't just want pleasure. We want meaningful pleasure. Watching comedies is simply a meaningless pleasure. Okay, after some time it becomes boring. What we want is meaningful pleasure. And meaningful pleasure comes when we take up some responsibility, we take up some challenge and do something worthwhile. So even if it's the best of comedy that we're watching, if it soon go down to meaningless and it will become unfulfilling. On the other hand, if there is some purpose, we can take big challenges and we can even endure great pains. Why? We can endure pains because that purpose is what drives us. Purpose is what inspires us. And if we look back at our lives, we'll find the most fulfilling times are the times when we were doing something meaningful. And even if there are inconveniences, they increase the sweetness of the memory now. They increase the depth of the fulfillment that comes thereof. So if we want holistic growth in our lives, the technology can improve the state of the heart thing. So technology can make the external world better. We can have light, we can have electricity, we can have so many comforts. But spirituality can make the heart better. For us, we need both. The world has to be better and the heart has to be better. However, in today's world, we have become so enamored with the progress of technology that we don't consider what is there in my heart. What am I doing to enrich my heart? What am I doing to cultivate meaning and purpose in my life? So holistic growth means we need both. At the same time, we need to invert the priority. Today, technological, financial, societal progress is considered to be the primary key for happiness. These things are important, but actually they are secondary. The state of the heart is what defines our life. So you have to put first things first means if you focus on improving the state of our heart through spirituality, what will happen? If we have the best of technology, we will put it to the best use. We can make best use of state of the art technology. And even if we don't have it, still we'll make the best use of our life because we won't be dependent on it. The state of the heart is what is going to define our life. And we can't get so caught in external progress that we forget to enrich our inner world. We forget to enrich our heart. So the practice of spirituality, the practice of bhakti is not just doing some rituals, maybe chanting some mantras or joining some satsang. Yes, all this is there. But all this is meant to enrich our life with a deeper meaning and a grander purpose. And when we do that, then our life will become truly fulfilling. So I'll summarize what I spoke and then we can have some questions. I spoke today on the topic of from state of the art to state of the heart. So in state of the art, I talked about how technology is progressing and we are all infatuated with more and more technological advancement. But I started with the paradox that technology has decreased the distance between countries, but has increased the distance between hearts. People may live in the same house together, but their hearts may be far apart. So technology is the art of rearranging reality so that we don't have to experience it. So that can be done in a functionally useful ways through air conditioning or through electricity or through irrigation. It can also be done in frivolous ways through entertainment. So if we can buffer ourselves from the unpleasantness of reality, but for what purpose? If there is no higher purpose, then improving the quality of the buffering and seeking pleasure in that itself becomes the goal. That's why there is so much infatuation with entertainment. The biggest relic, the most representative relic of the 20th century or 21st century, we could say, could be movies. So much money spent by so many people across the world. Why? Because our real life has no real meaning. So then we try to escape into entertainment. And instead of entertainment being a break from life, for many people, life has become a break from entertainment, which is a very unfortunate state of affairs. So technology is like a painkiller, and without a curative medicine, then we simply start seeking more and more dosage of painkiller. That's what is happening in the intensification of the entertainment in sports. That's what counts for the mania with respect to new gadgets. Although people don't necessarily use the products, use the features of those new gadgets. So then we talked about state of the heart. Our heart, it wants meaning and purpose, and technology itself does not provide us meaning and purpose. However, technology infatuates us with material improvement and often leads to the belief that we will have paradise in this world itself, and thus it makes thoughts of any higher non-material realm seem remote and irrelevant. But then life in this world is tough. And no matter how much technological protection we may have, still the toughness remains. And then when the toughness comes upon us, and then it becomes unbearable. So the disease is getting worse, and then we don't know what to do. That's why we, as I said, we have distances are going, the distance between the hearts are going further. Without meaning and purpose in our life, we start complaining. It seems like among all our needs, a need to complain is also there. And then if other needs are comfortably taken care of, food, air, water, heat, clothing, shelter, then we start getting mad for, we have a grievance culture and people just live as victimhoods, always complaining. If we don't have anything to fight for, we will fight for anything. If we are not committed to anything, we'll be distracted by anything. So how do we find meaning and purpose? Meaning means that what is all this about, and purpose is what is my role in this. And so meaning comes by having an object of love. Purpose comes by taking responsibility in relationship with that object. And we all can have various levels of meaning, and they all can infuse our life with some amount of fulfillment. Spirituality tells us that our existence has a meaning that extends beyond this life, because we are at our core spiritual beings. And our meaning comes when we connect with the whole, with the divine, with Krishna as the object of love. And our purpose comes when we take responsibility in a mood of service. And by this, If we have a meaningful purpose, even the most difficult things will become bearable. Can you please mute your voice? And without a meaningful purpose, even the best of pleasures will become unfulfilling. We wouldn't want to watch comedies for the rest of our lives. So the holistic growth will be technology can improve the outer world, can improve the world, spirituality can improve the heart, infuse the heart with a deeper meaning and a grander purpose. And in today's world, the priority is inverted. We're focusing a lot on technological, economic, and other progresses, while the heart is neglected. But if you do it, put first things first, that if we focus on improving the state of our heart through spiritual cultivation, then if we have state of the art things, that's great, we'll use them well. If we don't have them, still we will make the best of our life. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions?
Yeah, Prabhuji, there are a couple of questions. Thank you very much. You have summarized this topic in a very concise way. Appreciate how you managed to bring in so many components in such a short time. There are a few questions. Prabhuji, in today's times, the economic situation is not very good. And a lot of people are in despair. And a lot of people are in depression. So at this point in time, is it a good time to discuss meaning, purpose? Yeah, so that's the question.
Okay. Good question. Yeah. So when we are in distress, is this a good time to think about meaning and purpose? See, when there is distress, it leads to both things. I think maybe you need to mute others. Okay. So it works both ways. One side is that we need to look for the immediate. That's true. At the same time, this is also a time, it's not that the two have to be mutually exclusive. Say, for example, if someone has fallen, has say some job situation or whatever, say they've lost their job or their fear of losing their job, then that is something which needs to be considered. And one way to do it is, if somebody has lost their job, then make the pursuit of a job a full-time job. Maybe if you work for 8 hours, then do what you can for 8 hours to work on the job. But instead of actually doing things, we may end up worrying a lot. What will happen to me? What will happen to what will happen to me? It's just as we don't work 24 hours a day. So if we suppose we have lost our work, we don't have to worry about it 24 hours a day. Yes, do what we can. And then in the remaining time, think of a bigger picture. It's not that thinking of the ultimate questions and thinking of the immediate questions has to be mutually exclusive. Even if we have immediate concerns, does thinking about the immediate concerns 24 hours a day help? Actually, when we have problems, we need to address them, but the way to address them is by giving them as much attention as is constructive. Sometimes we don't think enough about a problem, and that is a problem. Sometimes we think too much about a problem, and that becomes a problem. Now we have to decide what all can I do to resolve this. And after we've done our part, then we need to be able to let go. We need to free our mind from that. Otherwise, see, our life may have many problems, but the real problem is when the problem gets stuck inside our head and we can't think of anything else. Then the problem settles like a heavy burden inside us and strips our life of all vitality. So yes, where it is necessary, think about immediate situations, but there's no need to consume it, let it consume us 24 hours, and spend some time for thinking about ultimate things also. And it could also be that sometimes the setbacks we have experienced in the immediate context may make us think of a bigger picture and find a better direction. Sometimes material breakdowns are what lead to spiritual breakthroughs. That is the theme of the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna had an emotional breakdown at the start of the Bhagavad Gita. He was about to fight, but how can I fight? And that material breakdown was why the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. And the Bhagavad Gita's knowledge comprised for him and for all of humanity, in fact, a spiritual breakthrough, because we got spiritual wisdom as a legacy through it. So if there's a material breakdown, see what we can do to resolve it. But along with that, we can see it also as an opportunity for a spiritual breakthrough, to think about life's bigger picture, our life's bigger purpose. So it's not that problems have to be dealt at one level only. Problems can be dealt at multiple levels. Just like, say, consider the corona crisis now. At one level, we deal with it by, say, social distancing, wearing masks or whatever. But then if you consider the government, or if we are in an influential position, how is the government dealing with it? One is imposing social distancing, but another is trying to find a vaccine. Another is trying to decrease the flow of people from outside other countries. So we can work at different levels, and working at different levels is, it doesn't have to be, it can go parallel also. So in fact, sometimes when our life is going on normally and things are reasonably comfortable, then we may not feel the need to think about higher meaning and purpose. So sometimes people say that with an empty stomach, you can't think about spirituality. Well, yes, as an extreme case, that is true. Of course, we're not saying starve and think about spirituality. But if that itself were the truth, that with an empty stomach we can't think about spirituality, then consider the opposite. All the people with welfare, with full stomachs, are they thinking about spirituality? No, they aren't, isn't it? So we're not saying stay in a state of material deprivation, but do what it can to address the immediate issues, and along with that, spare some time for contemplating life's ultimate issues also. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. So you spoke about how to allocate time and balance between your material and your spiritual needs. Prabhuji, in the book In Search of Meaning by Viktor Frankl, he said that in the Nazi concentration camp, when people were in distress, some people were complaining, some people were grabbing each other's food, and there were some people who were sharing their food. Now, the question here is, uh, how come some people see meaning and purpose while some people don't? Is it destiny? Is it destiny, or is it some kind of practice? What is it?
Okay, good question. Why do some people see meaning and purpose and others don't? There are many factors in this. First is one's own culture and upbringing. And there was a very interesting documentary about children, about parenting and nature of children in Africa and the nature of children in America. So this was, so what they showed is, these children in America, they were complaining. These kids, this food is not this good, this toy is not this good, these shoes are not as good. They're constantly complaining. And there was this girl in Africa. They had gone on a safari, and this girl joined the safari, and when they stopped at a particular place, nobody told this girl to do anything, but she went to the place where people were putting up the tents and everything, and she found something to do, and she started doing it. And then she was basically maybe 10, 20, 12 years old. Her parents were there, but her parents didn't tell her to do that. So then these researchers, they asked her, why are you doing this? He says, everybody is doing something useful. I should also do something useful. Very simple answer. So the point I'm making over here is that sometimes when we grow up in a culture of entitlement, then we are constantly thinking that why am I not getting the good things of life? Or why are the things that I am getting not good enough? But instead of expectation, if there is a focus on contribution. See, naturally in life, when we do something, we expect something. That's understandable. But what is our focus? If there is a ethics of, if there is a ethos of entitlement, the focus is on expectation, but the focus is on contribution. So a lot depends on culture and upbringing. And then this can also be because of one's past lives and the kind of nature one has cultivated. However, having said that, it could be from past life nature, it could be from this life's culture. But beyond that, we always have free will. So all of us might have been conditioned in a particular way, so that we tend to look at life in either that we instead of seeking meaning, we just find things to complain about. But one simple way to change the focus is, instead of asking why is this happening to me, ask what can I do about it. So what can I do? How can I contribute? So we might have a particular disposition from our past, and that could be because of past lives karma and the nature thereof, or the culture of this life. But it doesn't matter. We still have free will, and we can take up even a small sense of responsibility. Sometimes we may feel I cannot do anything big. Okay, if you can't do anything big, that's fine. What can we do? Say, suppose I decide for the, okay, now I'm supposed to do this particular work. For the next next 1 hour, I'll do this as well as I can. I won't snap at anyone. I won't complain. I just do this as well as I can. Now, can I do it for 1 hour? Yeah, 1 hour is not all that difficult. You do it, and then you find, hey, this is good. I was able to do it. Then, and appreciate yourself, not in an egoistic sense, but in an encouraging sense. Good job. And then take up more. So that choice of looking for, see, if we start thinking of meaning and purpose in some abstract sense, we'll think, who will tell me about my meaning? How will I find my purpose? No, just look around you. Is there something you see is wrong? Instead of complaining about it, see what is wrong and see what you can do to fix it. So find something that needs fixing and take up the responsibility of fixing it. Just do something that maybe just brings a smile on someone's face. Take a responsibility every day to say, appreciate 3 people in your life. Just speak one word of appreciation to 3 people in your life. So take some responsibility, and we'll find that our life will become more positive. And this is where spirituality can help us a lot. Now, if we understand that the world is ultimately not moving randomly, that the Lord is ultimately in control, then even if things look dark, we understand there is a purpose. That whatever is happening, it is not always that everything that happens is good, but everything that happens can be for good. That if I try to function in this position in a mood of service, if I try to do my part, God is expert enough to bring good even out of this. So in general, we can make choices to try to act with responsibility, and that choice becomes easier when we have a spiritual vision, a devotional vision of things. Okay.
Thank you, Proji. Well explained how important nurturing really helps develop character in children as well as adults as they grow up. And small practices, small commitments, small baby steps can go a long way forward. Proji, sometimes when I'm very passionate about my purpose and meaning, I may neglect my family, I may neglect my health, uh, because my passion, my purpose consumes me.
Okay.
What do you suggest?
So if we are very passionate about a particular purpose, then it consumes us, and then we neglect other things, our health, our family. See, here we need to understand what we mean by a purpose. A purpose is something much, we could say, bigger than simply a goal. A goal is more like a direct destination. Say, if I'm going to drive in this direction, if I go for 1 hour, I'll come to so and so place. So some in our life, some goals we may achieve, some goals we may not achieve. So a goal is more like a destination. A purpose is more intrinsic. It is more like a direction. So purpose is about how we are contributing. So purpose could be, say, for example, if somebody has a particular talent, somebody say they can sing. Purpose could be that, I want to become the best singer that I can become. A goal would be, I want to win this award or this or that. Now, if you become too goal centered, then that will shrink our vision. I want to get to this goal at any cost. And if I don't get, I may do anything. And we may start unethically pulling down people, and we may get imbalanced. But if you understand, my purpose is actually, I have been given some gifts. I want to use these gifts to do some good. And if I am to do some good, it is not just this one area of my life. Yes, this one area of life is important for me because that is where I feel inspired, that is where I feel driven. But I am not just this one thing. I am a complete person, and if I want to live meaningfully, there it's not just this one area of life. That one area of life is important, but it's like today, in the name of being passionate about work, people might become workaholics. And it is when somebody is a workaholic, just like people are alcoholic, they drink, so work becomes like their alcohol. So it's not that workaholics are not finding meaning in their work. Workaholics use work to escape from the rest of their life. Oh, I have this, I have a spouse and I don't know how to deal with the spouse. I have children, I don't know how to take care of the children. And I just stay as long as possible in my work and neglect everything else. Why? Because I'm working. So if generally we become unbalanced when we don't have a holistic vision, and we seek a particular thing more to escape from the rest of the things in life. It's if that is there, then that's unhealthy. So generally we understand that we want to develop holistically. Think in terms of if I want meaning in my life. So if somebody, say, broadly speaking, our life has three distinct aspects to it. And there is our profession, there is our family, and there is our spirituality. The Mahabharata talks about dharma, artha, and kama. Dharma is like our spirituality, artha is like our profession, from where we get our livelihood, and kama is our family. So Narad Muni tells Yudhishthir in the Mahabharata that don't pursue dharma at the expense of artha and kama. Don't pursue artha at the expense of dharma and kama. And don't pursue kama at the expense of dharma and artha. So he says, pursue all three in balance. So all these three aspects are important. So if we become a professional success, I was in Silicon Valley, and there was one lady, she came to talk with me. She was like a top level executive in Google, and she was telling me that she worked so hard to become a successful person in her career, but then she says now her daughter has taken to, well, there is, people can develop different kinds of unhealthy habits. So she has developed the habit of cutting herself. It's strange, but somehow it cuts herself, and in that sadistic activity she gets, or masochistic activity, she gets some pleasure. So she said, I feel that I neglected my daughter and I didn't give her time because I was focusing on professional success, and then now this has happened. So then I talked with her, and we just came with some ideas of how she could balance her life. But the point is that if we start seeking meaning only in one area of life and neglect others, eventually we will end up miserable. The success in one area of life doesn't compensate for failure in another area. So when we talk about purpose, purpose is not about reducing our life to one compartment. Purpose is we want to blossom as human beings, and we want to ultimately blossom as spiritual beings. So holistic progress is what is required for us to be able to find real fulfillment. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the lovely answer about how we can live a more wholesome life, and respect that we have different compartments which we need to address. Prabhuji, can we take some more questions?
Yeah, maybe 5-7 minutes more.
Okay. So, Prabhuji, you said family is important. In today's time, families are staying together, homes are small, space is less, freedom is less, and there's a lot of conflict that is happening, a lot of domestic violence, a lot of divorces. What should be the state of heart at home now?
Yeah. So, two things. What should be the state of heart when families are living together in close quarters and conflicts and separations are happening because of that? There's a whole different topic on enriching our relationships. I have a series of seminars on this, but I'll talk about 2-3 quick things here. See, whenever we have a relationship with someone, say I am here and the other person is here, we can't change the other person. But what we can do is we can do 3 things. We can change our vision of the other person. We can change our behavior toward the other person. We can change our expectation from the other person. So vision, behavior, and expectation. These 3 are what are in our control. So now we may say, is it that I only have to change everything and the other person is not going to do anything? Then why should I go about changing? That's a fair question. But the point is, we have to begin somewhere. And if we begin by demanding that the other person change, and the other person demands that we change, then we come to a deadlock and nothing moves forward. And things simply become worse. So what do we mean by change our vision of the other person? See, sometimes there are people who seem to delight in making our life miserable. And then as soon as we see them, and especially if it's in the family, then what happens is that constant negative chatter is going on inside us. So if this is possible, that if somebody else has a positive vision of that person, now we may think that, oh, this person is so terrible, but somebody else sees some good, then try to talk with them and get that vision. Now, we don't deny our experience, we don't deny what we have gone through, but we try to expand that. So then what will happen is, we won't, whenever we are interacting with people, our mind quite often puts a label. This person, complainer. This person, lazy. This person, forgetful. This person, irresponsible. So like that, we keep putting labels. This person, judgmental. This person, short-tempered, whatever. So now what happens because of those labels, then the way we behave also, it comes out in our words, in our actions, in our tones, in our gestures, whatever. So just try to expand so that whatever label we have put, we see the person as bigger than the label. And then see if we can change our behavior in any way. Okay, generally I yell at this person, I do this, I do that. So what can I do that triggers the other person? Can I avoid that? So focus on that. And then expectation means that different relationships work best at different distances. Here at distance, I don't necessarily refer to physical distance, it refers to emotional distance. Sometimes we expect a particular thing from a personal person and they just don't do it. And then that frustrates us so much. Suppose say a father has two children, two sons, and one son does very well in school and the other son doesn't do very well. The second son lives constantly craving for that appreciation from the father. Now, at one level, it's understandable. What my elder brother gets, why am I not getting it? I also want it. That's understandable. But for some people, giving appreciation is like rainfall in the Sahara Desert. It's extremely rare. So then, if we understand that, I have certain emotional needs, but it's not that this person alone has to fulfill those needs. Within the limits of dharma, we can find out whether we can get those needs fulfilled in some other way. In general, we can say the universe is reciprocal. If we give love, we will get love. But it may not be from the same channel. Means I do a lot for somebody and that person simply creates trouble in my life. Say, why is this person like this? Well, but we may also look, if we look at our lives, honestly, we'll see that there are some other people whom we don't pay so much attention to, but they offer us so much affection, so much love, they do so much for us. So if we give love, we will get love, but it may not be by the same channels. And we need to recognize that ultimately, whatever is being done for us by anyone, it is being done by the Lord for us. It is being done by Krishna. That is the mood of the famous verse. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva, tvameva bandhucha sakha tvameva, tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. So this verse doesn't literally mean that you are my mother, you are my father. That if we take it, what does it mean? You are my mother, you are my father. It means that whatever love we may get from our mother, our father, from our siblings, from our friends, whatever sense of shelter and strength we might get from our wealth, from our education, it is ultimately God who is giving it to us through them, through those channels. So that's why the last is Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. You, O Lord, are my everything. So the idea is that whoever is doing anything good for us, it is Krishna who is doing it through that person for us. And if we act in a mood of loving service, now we may be doing something for a particular person and that person may not reciprocate. But ultimately, we're not just serving that person. We see that everybody is a part of Krishna, and by Krishna's arrangement, we are in a particular situation in our life, in a particular relationship, in a particular family. And if we act with a seva bhav, with a service attitude, in Krishna, you have put me in the situation, how can I serve in this situation? Then even if we don't get reciprocation from that person, Krishna will give us reciprocation from somewhere else. So we don't have to reduce our vision to only this I and this person. Yes, I am interacting with this person, but I'm not interacting only for the sake of this person. I have a bigger picture for my life. And especially when we're trying to have spiritual relationships, that means in every relationship, there is the third person. The third person is Krishna. So I am responding to this person, not just based on how that person is acting, but also in how, by considering how would Krishna want me to act in this situation. And even if that person doesn't reciprocate, by acting in a mood of service, we will grow. We will grow in our emotional maturity. We'll grow in our capacity to deal with difficult relationships. And we will grow in our relationship with Krishna. I conclude with one example in this. Imagine there is a cloth shop where there is a big cloth shop and there are employees who show customers the clothes. So say some very fastidious woman comes and she wants to buy a sari and she looks at 100 saris and she doesn't buy anything. And then the attendants start thinking, we have to we have to fold all these saris and put them all again. And normally when some customers come, the attendants are eager to attend. But suppose this kind of very demanding customer comes, then all the attendants go away. Nobody wants to attend. But suppose a particular attendant still attends to that person and is very courteous and very polite, and that customer keeps complaining, this is not good, this is not good, this is not good. And finally the customer goes away. The attendant may say, I spent so much time and this customer didn't even take any. I heard so much, I bore so much and I got nothing out of it. But the attendant knows that my salary is not coming from this customer. Maybe the boss is sitting in the office or at the counter and there are CCTV cameras. The boss knows. So after the customer goes, the boss may come and say, hey, oh, that is a tough customer. You are so polite. You know how to deal with tough people. You take care of this whole wing and you train our other attendants how to take care of tough people. So what happened? For her, nothing happened. For that attendant, nothing happened in that particular interaction with the customer. But despite failing with the customer, the attendant succeeded in the eyes of the boss. So similarly for us, Krishna doesn't need any CCTV camera. He's there in the hearts of all of us. So if some people are difficult, they may be difficult themselves, or just they may be difficult with us, or they may be difficult for us. But Krishna knows that. And if we try to be polite, if we try to be courteous, if we try to maintain a service attitude, even if the other person doesn't reciprocate, Krishna will. And Krishna will help us grow spiritually. So in that sense, there is always the possibility for expanding our vision. And I said three things: change your vision of the person, change our behavior to that person, and change our expectation from that person. And that way, we can grow even if we are in a constricted situation.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very well answered. So we all need to add Krishna to our family and consider him while seeing somebody, while behaving with somebody. Thank you very much. Really words of wisdom, and you've given us steps which we can work on. Truly, I mean, we all know you as a spiritualist, but what I understood today is you are more of an applied spiritualist. How to really apply spirituality in all aspects of your life, be it your own self, be it your family, be it your business. So thank you very much for gracing Pavitra once again. And we hope to have you again and again. You have a lot of subjects and topics to speak on. Thank you everybody for joining us on Pavitra. And please continue meeting us again and again on this platform, and wish you a very, very Pavitra evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.